Good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic. I'm your host, Neil Johnson. We're going to be talking about the city of Chicago today, where Brandon Johnson is landing himself in hot water, is now seeming to be involved in a seditious conspiracy against the federal government and against ICE agents. So you've heard some of this news, but we're going to kind of break this down a little bit more fully and talk to you about the supremacy clause of the United States Constitution. But let's first start with reports from police officers on the street, members of the Chicago Police Department. Chicago police sources blast department's response after their officers were told not to help federal agents, calling it a cover their arse moment. Two longtime ranking Chicago police sources sharply rejected the department's assertion that officers responded to calls for help from ICE agents who were rammed and surrounded by protesters on Saturday, telling Fox News the official statement is, in their words, cover their arse BS. Their comments come as Fox News obtained an internal dispatch revealing that Chicago police officers were ordered by their chief of patrol not to respond after Border Patrol agents called for help, saying they were boxed in and surrounded following a ramming incident outside the city, according to multiple federal and Chicago law enforcement sources. Fox News reviewed the computer-aided dispatch message sent to Chicago police officers by their chief of patrol. The message instructed officers not to respond to a Saturday morning ramming on the southwest side of the city, in which an armed woman was shot and agents were boxed in and surrounded. So now we have people getting shot as a result of Mayor Brandon Johnson's actions. Folks, this is a crazy report. Now, so you think about this. He is telling Chicago police officers the rammed vehicles, boxed in, surrounded, telling law enforcement not to help other law enforcement. Now, this has drawn sharp criticism, obviously, from other members in law enforcement. So the National Fraternal Order of Police and the Illinois State Fraternal Order of Police condemn these reports. So this, there is one rule in law enforcement that is absolutely upheld, and that is you always help other officers. So Washington, D.C., Patrick Yo's national president of the Fraternal Order of Police, and Chris Southwood, president of the Illinois State FOP Lodge, were shocked and appalled at reports coming out of Chicago that commanding officers barred local law enforcement from assisting immigration and customs enforcement agents while they were surrounded by a group of protesters. Interesting. I got a crazy video we're going to show you here of the police commissioner in Chicago diverging from Brandon Johnson. He'll probably get fired as a result of this, but Brandon Johnson may be going to prison. So details are still emerging, but it appears that officers from the Chicago PD were ordered not to assist these agents. Let me be clear, both the National FOP and the Illinois FOP believe that when an officer calls for assistance, you answer no matter what. The other fact of this is, and you folks have to know, that not only were these ICE agents calling, but citizens had to be calling as well as they saw this going down. The Trust Act is an Illinois state law that generally prohibits local law enforcement agencies in Illinois from participating in immigration enforcement. According to the Department of Homeland Security, ICE agents have faced a 1,000% increase in violence since the start of this year. Government officials in Chicago, which classifies itself as a sanctuary city, have repeatedly pushed back against ICE operations, leading to a breakdown of local and federal cooperation. The number one unwritten rule in law enforcement is that we respond to any calls from officers in distress, Southwood said. What would have happened if the local police were facing threats and nearby federal officers were told not to assist? Whether you agree about immigration enforcement or not, when a law enforcement officer is in trouble, nothing should stand in the way of fellow officers rendering assistance. Now more than ever, police officers need to band together. It goes on. So, folks, so Mayor Brandon Johnson kind of denied this, but we've got the 911 call, so let's listen in here quick.
Again, per the chief of patrol, we have all the units that per 999. Chief of patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location. All right, and 999, just to confirm, 39th Police in Kedzie, they were saying that they were being surrounded by that large crowd, and they were requesting the police were not sending, waving off all the cars heading to 39th Police in Kedzie.
Again, those are the orders we're being given.
Now, think about that, because as you heard that call, you had to hear that this dispatcher is like, wait, what are we doing? This is unheard of. You just do not do this. But watch Mayor Brandon Johnson here. Now that this is out, he has to admit to it.
The reports that Chicago police were ordered to stand down when ICE agents were surrounded and rammed by cars. And do you want Chicago police not to help ICE agents?
Our police officers respond to every single emergency in this city. The brave women and men who sign up to...
Obviously, they didn't respond to this emergency, and somebody ended up getting shot. He's a liar.
To serve and protect this city are committed to keeping us safe. And what we have made very clear is through our Welcoming City Ordinance, when it comes to civil immigration enforcement, absent a warrant, our police department will not dub as federal ICE agents. In fact, we believe...
And look at this. This is a mayor of a major city, and he uses dub instead of double. I mean, these people are pathetic.
It's antithetical to driving violence down in the city of Chicago. When people call 911, we do not ask what their immigration status is, right? And so our police department will respond to every incident in which their services are needed to keep people safe.
Again, a lady was shot. It seems like maybe additional law enforcement was needed to keep people safe. But I mean, listen to this. It's not keeping people safe by deporting criminals. Got it. Okay, that really makes sense.
Protecting the fundamental right to be able to protest, ensuring the maximum safety of our residents. That is the top priority of our administration.
Oh, wait. Did you guys just catch that?
Can you confirm, though, we're Chicago...
So basically, it's more important to protect the rights of protesters.
Chicago police told to stand down?
What I can confirm is that our police department responds to every single 911 call. When 911 is called and there's an emergency, our police department shows up, as they've always done.
As they've always done. They're always there, folks, unless they're called off by...
the reports that Chicago police...
Unless they're called off by Brandon Johnson. So, again, and this is a guy who we now have 30 shot during this last week in Democrat-run Chicago, and 5 people dead. The black community is waking up to it. Look at this, common sense on X. Mayor Brandon Johnson has already done more for illegal immigrants in Chicago than he's done for the black communities of Chicago. And again, that 7% approval rating in the city of Chicago has to have dropped to 5%. Only the illegal immigrants like him. Can we impeach Mayor Brandon Johnson? He's an embarrassment to the city, state, and country. America is waking up to these realities. Now, the police commissioner has actually diverged from Brandon Johnson, which is going to get real interesting, folks, because, yeah, it is. I'm going to show you the video here in just a second. But first, I got to remove this. Bring this in quick, and hey, go check out my sponsor, MyPillow, mypillow.com/lumberjack for big savings on the best sleep products available, folks. The towel sets are in stock. There's a closeout sale on the percale sheets for $29.88. Premium My Pillows for only $17.98 or $19.98 based upon the size. Go check it out. Free shipping even on the mattresses right now over at mypillow.com. Promo code lumberjack. Let's get into this police commissioner and listen to this.
Federal agents, ICE, HSI, are officers. They are agents of law enforcement. If you box them in with vehicles, it is reasonable for them to believe that they are being ambushed and that this could end in a deadly situation. And it's reasonable for them to use force based on those conditions.
Now, he's making a very important point, because if you're in law enforcement and you've got vehicles ramming you, boxing you in, you do have reasonable belief that they are there to harm you. In fact, it would almost seem beyond obvious that they're there to harm you. They have a right to defend themselves.
Do not box in any law enforcement officer. You are breaking the law when you do that. And you are putting yourself in danger. Following law enforcement agents around. The question is why? What do you plan on doing? It's also reasonable for them to believe that you're eventually going to do harm to them.
Yeah, I mean, what else would you be doing? Why are you following them around?
If you ram any vehicle, especially that one that contains law enforcement agents, and that's any law enforcement, local, state, federal, county, and you do this intentionally, this is considered deadly force. Deadly force is anything that can cause great bodily harm or death. When you plow into a vehicle that contains law enforcement agents, you're using deadly force. And they can use deadly force in response to stop you.
Folks, this point is so valid. I mean, what are these people doing? And then they're ramming into federal agents. And then Mayor Johnson is telling the police department not to respond. This is insanity. They talked about January 6th being an insurrection. There was no power in the people there at January 6th. They didn't have guns. They didn't have really anything that they could do. Okay? And here we have people ramming into vehicles. You want to talk about an insurrection? Trying to protect criminal illegal aliens who are here illegally. That makes them illegal. And then furthermore, on top of that, they're committing crimes. And the people of Chicago are seeing this. And that's why he has such a low approval rating. But it gets worse. Watch this. Here's Mayor Brandon Johnson again.
Hi, Mayor.
Hi.
I know you're going to talk about the Texas Guard, Illinois Guard, but can you give us a little bit about what your next steps could be to fight that?
Well, look, our corporate counsel has been in constant communication with our Attorney General for several months now. And I just wanted to offer this up. A couple of years ago, I said very candidly that the right wing in this country wants a rematch of the Civil War.
Oh, wait. This is a great point. Folks, a rematch of the Civil War. Which side were the Republicans on in the Civil War, and which side were the Democrats on in the Civil War? This is a trivia question. Please answer that in the comments below.
I want that to sit in right now, because the President of the United States of America has declared war on the people of Chicago and people across America.
That's right.
He's more interested in giving billions of dollars to other nations, while farmers in urban cities around this country are literally being destabilized. And so whether it's the legal...
How many of you think that Brandon Johnson cares about farmers? Really?
System, whether it's through executive order or whether it's through the brave women and men who are serving as rapid responders. We literally have people who are volunteering in this city, on the southwest side, the northwest side, all over this city, to make sure that we're protecting children from being separated from their families.
Okay, folks, whenever a criminal goes to jail, guess what happens? They're separated from their kids. So if you don't want to be separated from your kids, probably don't want to commit criminal acts like being an illegal alien. Why don't you stay in your own country, make it better, raise your kids there? I understand that America is the shining city on the hill and that everybody wants to come here. But that doesn't mean everybody gets to come. There's a process of vetting. There's a process of naturalization, all of that needs to take place. And, Brandon Johnson's talking about Trump sending money overseas. Trump has stopped a lot of the money going overseas. Remember USAID, the efforts of Doge, how all that was outed, how much money was going to fund gender studies in Pakistan and all kinds of Sesame Street in Iraq and all the other woke BS. He didn't say boo then. But now he's taken it one step further.
Today, we are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones. That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids.
Now, it's interesting. He talks about this. Now, federal agents, what is Brandon Johnson going to do when they go in and utilize these areas as staging grounds? The answer is nothing. He's got nothing to stand on. Let me show you something here. This is the Article 6, Clause 2. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or the laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. The Supremacy Clause was a response to the problem with the Articles of Confederation, which governed the United States from 1781 to 1789. The Articles conspicuously lacked any similar provision declaring federal law to be superior to state law. As a result, during the Confederation era, federal statutes did not bind state courts in the absence of state legislation implementing them. To address this issue and related political difficulties, the Confederation Congress called for a convention in 1787 to revise the Articles. While the Supremacy Clause was not a source of major disagreement at the Constitutional Convention that followed, it generated intense controversy during debates over the Constitution's ratification. But advocates of federal supremacy prevailed. The Constitution was ratified in 1788 with the Supremacy Clause. One of the beautiful things is in the United States of America, the states have a tremendous amount of power to govern themselves, to run their schools, to administer all kinds of things in their states. Each state has its own constitution. But with federal law like immigration enforcement, the federal constitution is the law of the land. And that is the important thing to note. Now, folks, if you're new to the channel, please remember to subscribe. And we'll see you on the next episode. And do check out my sponsor, MyPillow, mypillow.com/lumberjack, or call 1-800-568-28